Hello, my name's Chris, and today I'm going to be making a beat. And this is going to be my first video doing so. And I'm doing this to encourage other people to pick up the program. That it's hard. There's a lot of things make into going to making a beat, but you can just make something fun really quickly too. It's a lot of knowledge you need to learn, but it's also not that hard and as daunting as many people would think, or as it appears. Also, I want to see if I could teach things to see if I have an understanding of it. That would be very useful. As well. So, yeah, let's get started. Oh, yeah, also, when I was learning making music, there's a lot of questions that I had that went unanswered because some people don't think of going over even the most basic things that people who haven't picked up the program or have no experience with know how to do. So I'm going to comment on things that I've learned by myself through trial and error as well to help new people. So yeah, with that, let's go. So I'm going to be using a loop that I found on looperman.com, very awesome website. And I got this loop because it was like sounds like you can make a fun song out of it. It's a dark synth, is how what I named it and how I would describe it. It's at 140 BPMs. Sounds like this. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's how it sounds. It could be really cool to make some maybe dark trap music. That's what I imagine out of this. Some dark, very dark trap. So let's do so. Let's see what we can make out of this. So when there's a loop, there's generally different parts to a loop. For this specific loop, there's a part A and a part B, or part 1 or part 2. Interchangeable terms. So the beginning part right here is part A. Split into twos, this is part B. And you could tell that part B is you could tell there you could feel a lot more tension in that, and that's what that loop's for. And the beginning part is, I think you can loop this and put vocals on it. Since there's not a lot of highs like this would be very putting vocals over the high parts of B would not sound as clear and good as it was in part A, because there's no space in those frequencies. So making a song, right? Making a beat, you got to keep the artist in mind. You got to keep, if you can make a beat and add all these melodic layers till there's no room for your vocals to fit. You got to think of it as a puzzle, really, which I have yet to master. So there's here, let me pull up an EQ. So we pull up an EQ, right? There's your low frequencies, there's your mid frequencies, and your high frequencies. And oops, did not mean to click that. Anyways, so let's add this into the EQ. Okay, so now it's in the EQ, and let's play the loop. This is part A playing. Keep in mind all those curves and how much space they cover. This is part B playing. There's a lot more action in part B, where those highs fill. It's not a lot, but you'll notice once you put your vocals over it. Okay. So yeah, making the song for the artist. So if I were to listen to part A and part B, I would figure out, I'd probably just loop them like this. Because what's going to happen is it's going to go right back into part A, where we're going to want to start our vocals. And we're just going to go from there. So now I lay out the drums from here. I do this because before adding more melodic layers or counter melodies, I find it easier to put vocals, or if your artist wants to put vocals, then add those layers so they don't interfere as much and they sound cohesive. It's easier to do that after you add the vocals. So I add my drums. So we're going to start with hi-hats. Oh, hi-hats. Everybody loves hi-hats. So let's go in. Let's go find the hi-hat for this beast of a loop. I found one that I liked first try. We're going to go with the 808 Mob closed hi-hat. And yeah, these audio packs right over here. So you download these from websites. If you go on the Cymatics website, that's where I use a lot of my free sample packs, and that's where I get a lot of my sounds. And they're very high quality. So yeah. So to add a hi-hat, I chose the hi-hat I want. I right-clicked and I clicked open a new channel. And you open up, you add a new pattern by clicking pattern 1. Adding that, dragging towards the space you want to fill. And we're going to fill up bars of 5s. And I'm just going to copy it. We're going to open it by double-clicking. If you don't get that from double-clicking, you can click the View Channel Rack button right here or F6 button on your keyboard. So I'm going to add hi-hats by putting a note on the very end of the pattern and then right-clicking our hi-hat and clicking fill each 2 steps. Now it's going to sound like this. We're going to open the piano roll and we're going to see our hi-hat pattern, and we're going to make the hi-hat pattern more complex. Okay, so I found the hi-hat pattern I like here. So we're going to delete the other side and duplicate this side to the next side. Line them up. And we got our hi-hats down. Yeah, that's lined. So next thing we're going to do is you're going to choose between a clap or a snare, and you're going to add it to the middle points. That's where the general placement of a clap or a snare is. But in trap, it's going to be most likely a clap and then using your snare on the side as more of a percussion or a bounce element. So I found the clap that I like, and I'm going to add them to those aforementioned placements. Aforementioned places. All right. Now you got this. One thing I did miss is the open hats, and I'm going to add those now. So let's go add those now. I found an open hat I like in the same pack. I've been using the same pack so far for this, which is pretty awesome. So I'm going to place my open hats in these aforementioned places. A4. Hey, you got that. It's got a nice little bounce already. The hi-hats and the claps. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right-click this pattern here, make it unique. And I'm going to go back to this first pattern because I don't want these elements actually playing on this part yet. This is going to be more of a build-up. So to do that, we're going to go to that first pattern and just right-click and hover over those parts. So now we just have the hi-hats in pattern 1. So it sounds like this going into pattern 2 right now. Okay, so we got that so far. It sounds nice. So how I picture this song so far, right, is we got the intro, which we could change. We can do other things later on to make sound more cohesive and better or sound more like an intro. Yeah. So This section right here would be a build up, and then you would start vocals over here on 9. So how I would picture the cadence would be like, it would be something like this. No 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 no. Something like that for a chorus maybe, but instead of gibberish, actual words. I think I'm gonna go directly with the kicks into this part. We're gonna start this off strong. So now I'm gonna find a kick. Alright, I found the kick I like. I'm gonna see if it'll work in the mix, if I can change it to work in the mix. So okay, so I like the sound of that so far. So we're gonna duplicate it to the other side. Oops. Hey, when that happens right there. So So we have my kick pattern now, and it sounds like this. All right. So now I'm gonna go through what we have so far again. Basically, I keep re-looping what we have from the beginning to where we're at right now, and see how I'm gonna progress, how I would imagine this song if an artist were to come on it and to sing on it or rap on it. So like I said, we got the build up, whatever the chorus is gonna be, or whatever, maybe if you start with the first verse on this part. So for starters, I'm going to cut this up here. Remove that down and just repeat this pattern. So I'm going to add some snares. We're going to make this unique. Okay, so I changed up my kick pattern a bit, and I added the snares. So this is how it sounds. Okay, so what I'm going to do from here, copy this over and then make unique. And we're going to add some 808s. So let's find an 808. So I'm going to add the C version, or the 808 that's in the key of C, and we're going to copy over our kick pattern. Oh shit, I fucked up. Don't worry, there's a fix for this. Alright, we fixed it. Alright, so now we're going to go in the piano roll after we copy our kick pattern into our 808 pattern like that. And we're going to play around with the 808 positioning till we get what we like. Okay, so pause right a minute here. So a trick that I'm using is I'm moving up the 808s a whole octave by highlighting them and then clicking Control and up arrow. And this gives me a better idea of what they sound like, and it makes it easier to hear the different notes and how they match up with the melody. Okay, so I got an 808 pattern that I like. So now I'm going to lower back an octave. down to the regular octave. So now I'm going to go back to these patterns and I'm going to add percussion to them. Okay, so now that we have a basic arrangement and layout, the most important thing is to fucking level and mix this shit because it sounds muddy as fucking disgusting. So we're going to do that process and then we're going to end it off as simple as it's got.